Many people visit Rome and walk into a huge, oval building of stone. The sun touches the broken walls. Grass grows between old blocks. Yet the building still stands. Almost 2,000 years have passed, and the Roman Colosseum is still here, quiet and patient. As we walk through this story, you will hear clear English about ancient life, people, and ideas. Stories like this help your ears relax, and slowly your English becomes stronger. Subscribe and share the story with someone who enjoys history. Leave a like, and tell me in the comments, when you see old buildings, do you feel curious about the people who lived there? Some mornings begin with simple routines. A cup of tea, the sound of a street outside, perhaps the slow movement of people starting their day. Life moves quietly in these moments. Cities often hide long stories beneath these calm mornings. Under the streets, inside old stones, or behind walls that have watched thousands of days pass. Rome is one of those cities. In the center of Rome stands a building that almost everyone knows, the Colosseum. It is huge. Its shape is like a circle, but a little longer on two sides. People call this shape an oval. Today it is partly broken. Many stones are gone. Wind moves through empty arches. Birds sit on the high edges. Still, it stands for nearly 2,000 years. Many storms came. Earthquakes shook the ground. While wars passed through the city, kings ruled, empires fell, yet the Colosseum remained. Dear listener, this is where our story begins. Long before tourists walked with cameras, long before trains and cars, Rome was the center of a powerful empire. An empire is a large group of lands ruled by one government. Roman roads reached far across Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia. Soldiers marched across mountains and deserts. Ships moved across the Mediterranean Sea. Rome was busy, crowded, loud. While markets filled the streets, people sold bread, olives, wine, and cloth. Children ran through narrow roads. Traders spoke many languages. And in the middle of this powerful city, Roman leaders wanted something special. They wanted a place for games, not small games, huge ones. The Roman people loved public shows. These events brought excitement to the city. Crowds gathered, people shouted, musicians played. Leaders believed these games kept citizens happy. Happy citizens caused fewer problems. So one emperor made a big decision. His name was Vespasian. He ruled Rome almost 2,000 years ago in the 1st century. A century means 100 years. Vespasian wanted to build the largest arena the world had ever seen. An arena is a large open space where people watch events. His builders chose land near the center of Rome. This land once held a large lake. The lake belonged to an earlier emperor named Nero. Nero had built a grand palace. Many Romans felt angry about it. They thought Nero cared more about luxury than about the people. Vespasian wanted to change that feeling, so he drained the lake. Water flowed away. The ground slowly dried. Then the workers began. Thousands of laborers arrived. Some were Roman citizens. Many were slaves. Slaves were people forced to work without freedom. Stone came from nearby hills. Huge blocks moved on wooden carts. Oxen pulled the heavy loads. Oxen are strong farm animals, similar to cows but larger and powerful. Builders placed the stones with great care. They used a clever system. Stone blocks locked together. Iron clamps held them tight. The Romans also used concrete. Roman concrete was a strong mixture of stone, sand, water, and volcanic ash. Volcanic ash comes from volcanoes. mountains that push fire and hot rock from the earth. This ash made the concrete very strong. Layer by layer, the building rose. Years passed. Dust filled the air. Hammers struck stone. Voices echoed across the worksite. And the shape slowly appeared. An oval wall first, then arches. Dozens of arches. Each one wide enough for people to walk through. More levels followed. The Colosseum would have 4 main floors. Each floor had rows of arches. These arches held the weight of the building. Arches were a Roman favorite. Their curved shape spread the pressure of heavy stone. This allowed builders to create large spaces. I think there is something beautiful about this idea. A simple shape helping huge structures stand for centuries. The Romans understood this well. At last, the Colosseum reached its full height. It stood around 50 meters tall. That is about the height of a modern 15-story building. Around the outside, statues once stood between the arches. Bright cloth covered parts of the upper level. Flags moved in the wind, but the inside was even more impressive. Seats rose in wide circles around the arena floor. The arena floor was the central stage, and more than 50,000 people could sit there. The seats followed Roman society. Society means how people live together with rules and groups. The best seats were closest to the arena. Senators sat there. Senators were powerful political leaders. Behind them sat wealthy citizens. Then ordinary people. Women and poorer citizens sat higher. Everyone had a place. Under the arena floor lay a hidden world. Dark tunnels stretched under the building. Wooden lifts moved animals upward. The lifts are platforms that rise or fall. Cages held lions, bears, and other wild animals brought from distant lands. Workers moved quietly through these tunnels. They prepared the next show. But when the Colosseum was finally ready, something else happened. Vespasian did not live long enough to see its opening. His son Titus became emperor, and Titus planned a celebration that Rome would never forget. The opening games lasted 100 days. Crowds poured into the Colosseum each morning. The sun rose above the stone walls. Trumpets sounded across the arena. Animals appeared first. Hunters fought them. Then came gladiators. Gladiators were trained fighters. Many were slaves or prisoners. Some were volunteers seeking fame. They carried shields, swords, and helmets. Each type of gladiator used different armor. Some carried nets. Some used short swords. Others fought with long spears. The crowd watched every movement. Thousands of people filled the seats, and their voices moved like waves through the building. Food sellers walked through the rows. Bread and fruit passed from hand to hand. The games were loud, sometimes brutal, sometimes dramatic. One fighter might fall, another might raise his sword in victory, and above them all stood the massive stone walls of the Colosseum. Strong, ordered, precise. Dear listener, the building was not only for spectacle, it was also a message. Rome wanted to show its power, its skill, and its control over nature and people. And for a long time, the Colosseum did exactly that. Yet buildings, like people, live through many chapters. Some are bright, some are darker. The Colosseum soon entered a new time in its life, a time when cheers slowly faded and history began to turn in a different direction. And that quiet change begins with something very human. The slow change of what people believe is right. The cheers inside the Colosseum did not stop suddenly. Life rarely changes in one single moment. Instead, the noise slowly softened across many years. For a long time, the games continued. Gladiators still trained. Wild animals still arrived from distant lands. Crowds still filled the stone seats. But the Roman world itself was changing. The empire had grown very large. It stretched across 3 continents. Soldiers guarded long borders. Roads carried messages between far cities. Keeping such a huge empire strong was difficult. New leaders came. While some were wise, others were not. Some ruled only a few years before another emperor replaced them. Rome still looked powerful from the outside. The Colosseum still stood tall in the center of the city. Yet deep inside Roman society, ideas were shifting. A new belief began to spread quietly. This belief came from a small group called Christians. Christians followed the teachings of Jesus. They believed in kindness, mercy, and forgiveness. Mercy means choosing compassion instead of punishment. As at first many Roman leaders feared this new belief. Some Christians were arrested, some were punished. Stories from this time are painful to hear. Some Christians were even sent into arenas. Some historians believe that a few of these events happened inside the Colosseum. The truth is not perfectly clear. Old records are sometimes incomplete. But we do know one thing. Over time, Christianity grew stronger. More people followed it. Even some Roman leaders accepted the new faith. And when beliefs change, traditions often change as well. The gladiator games slowly began to feel different. Some people started to question them. Was it right to watch people fight to the death? Was it right to cheer when someone fell? The questions did not stop the games immediately. Rome loved its traditions, but the energy of the crowds slowly changed. The last known gladiator fight took place around the year 404. After that, the arena grew quieter. The great building that once held 50,000 voices began to rest. Years passed. Without the games, the Colosseum had no clear purpose. Rain fell through the open roof. Plants began to grow between the stones. Rome itself entered a difficult time. The Western Roman Empire slowly weakened. Armies from other regions moved across its borders. In the year 476, the Western Empire finally ended. For centuries, Rome had ruled vast lands. Now that power was gone. The city grew smaller. Many grand buildings fell into ruin. The Colosseum stood among them, large, silent, watching time move forward. Earthquakes shook the region during the following centuries. Parts of the outer wall collapsed. Huge stones fell to the ground, yet the core structure held firm. This strength came from the careful design of Roman engineers. Their arches spread the weight evenly across the building. Even when parts broke away, the remaining structure stayed balanced. In the Middle Ages, where people began to use the Colosseum in new ways, some families built small homes inside its walls. The great arena became a strange kind of neighborhood. Wooden rooms appeared between the stone arches. Children played where gladiators once fought. A fortress was later built there by a powerful family. Thick walls and gates turned the old arena into a defensive place. The Colosseum had changed again. No longer a stage for games. Now, it served as shelter and protection. Dear listener, I sometimes think about the stones during those centuries. They had once heard loud cheers and battle cries. Now they heard daily life. Cooking fires, quiet conversations, footsteps in the evening. History rarely moves in straight lines. Buildings often live many lives. But another change came that deeply affected the Colosseum. People began to remove its stones. Rome needed building materials. Many churches and palaces were under construction, and the Colosseum offered a huge supply of strong stone. Workers carried blocks away piece by piece. Marble seats disappeared. Iron clamps were pulled from the walls. These iron clamps once held stones together. When workers removed them, small holes remained across the surface of the building. If you visit the Colosseum today, you can still see those holes. They look like small scars across the stone. For many years, people treated the Colosseum like a giant stone mine. Parts of it slowly vanished. Well, it is a quiet and slightly sad thought. A building that once symbolized power now became a source of raw material. But something else was happening during this same period. A new feeling toward the Colosseum began to grow. Some people started to see it as a sacred place. They believed early Christians had suffered there. Because of this belief, the site became connected with memory and respect. In the 1700s, a pope named Benedict XIV made an official decision. He declared the Colosseum a sacred site. Sacred means a place treated with deep respect, often connected to religion. This decision protected the building. Stone removal stopped. The Colosseum could finally rest. Plants still grew between the stones. Grass covered the arena floor, but the great structure remained. Scholars and travelers visited Rome during the 18th and 19th centuries. Many wrote about the ruins they saw. They described the Colosseum with a sense of wonder. And some walked through the arches at sunset. Others sat quietly among the broken walls. They imagined the crowds of ancient Rome. They thought about the fighters, the animals, and the voices that once filled the arena. One writer said that the Colosseum felt like a memory made of stone. I think that description feels very true, because the Colosseum does not only show Roman engineering. Engineering means the skill of building large structures. It also shows human change. Power rises. Ideas shift. Traditions fade, yet the stones remain. By the 19th century, leaders in Rome started to repair parts of the Colosseum. They built large brick supports against the outer walls. These supports helped stop further collapse. Careful work began to protect the ancient structure. Slowly, the Colosseum moved from ruin to historical treasure. Visitors arrived from many countries. Painters made drawings of the arches. Writers described the moon shining through the broken roof. And the old arena, which once held violence and noise, began to represent something quieter. A memory of a distant world. A reminder of how strong human creativity can be. But the story of the Colosseum does not stop in those centuries. Because the modern world would soon bring millions of people to stand before its ancient stones. And when they look up at those walls, many feel the same quiet question in their minds. How did this building survive so long? Travelers now arrive in Rome from almost every corner of the world. Airplanes cross oceans in a few hours. Trains move quietly across the Italian countryside. Buses stop near the old streets of the city. And many of those travelers walk toward the same place, the Colosseum. They pass small cafes. They hear the sound of scooters moving along the roads. Then the huge stone shape slowly appears. For a moment, people often stop walking. The building feels larger than photographs suggest, and its arches stretch across the sky. Sunlight moves across the rough stone. Some visitors feel excitement. Others feel calm silence. It is strange to stand beside something that began 2,000 years ago. The world of the Romans feels very far away. Their clothes were different. Their laws were different. Their daily life looked nothing like modern cities. Yet, the Colosseum still stands between those two worlds. Ancient Rome on one side, modern life on the other. When people walk inside today, though the arena floor is partly open, the underground tunnels are visible again. Visitors look down and see the maze of corridors where animals once waited. A maze is a complex network of paths that twist and turn. Guides explain how wooden lifts pushed cages upward. The system worked with ropes, pulleys, and human strength. A pulley is a wheel with a rope that helps lift heavy weight. Workers pulled the ropes from below. Platforms rose quickly through hidden doors. Suddenly, a lion could appear in the arena. The crowd would gasp. Today, the tunnels are quiet. Only footsteps echo along the stone paths. But the design still feels clever even after many centuries. The arches above continue to carry the weight of the building. Each curved stone pushes gently against the next one. Pressure spreads evenly through the walls. Because of this design, the Colosseum survived earthquakes that destroyed many nearby buildings. Roman concrete also helped protect it. That ancient mixture hardened like rock over time. Modern scientists still study it. They want to understand why Roman concrete lasts so long. Some tests show that small cracks inside the concrete can repair themselves slowly when water enters. It is almost like the building has a quiet way of healing small wounds. Of course, the Colosseum did not survive alone. People helped protect it during the last 2 centuries. Engineers studied the structure carefully. They cleaned the stone. They repaired weak sections. Workers removed dirt and pollution from the outer walls. Pollution is the dirty smoke and dust that cities produce. The cleaning revealed lighter-colored stone beneath the dark surface. For many visitors, it was surprising. The Colosseum suddenly looked brighter, closer to how it might have appeared long ago. Still, the building keeps its marks from history. The holes where iron clamps were removed remain visible. Broken edges show where earthquakes struck. Where plants continue to grow between some stones. These details are not mistakes. They are reminders of time. Dear listener, when people see the Colosseum today, they often think first about the gladiators. Films and books show dramatic battles. But the building holds more than that one story. It also shows how human skill can shape stone with patience. Thousands of workers carried blocks, mixed concrete, and raised arches. Many of their names are lost. Yet their work still stands in front of millions of eyes every year. I think there is something quietly moving about that. Ordinary hands helped build something that outlived kings and armies. And the Colosseum also shows how human values change. Long ago, crowds gathered to watch dangerous fights. Today, people gather to study history. They speak softly while walking through the same arches. Children hold the hands of their parents. Guides tell calm stories about ancient Rome. Sometimes music plays nearby. Street musicians sit along the paths outside. The atmosphere is very different now. In recent years, the Colosseum gained another gentle role. Lights sometimes shine on its walls at night to support messages about peace. When a country removes the death penalty, the Colosseum is often lit with golden light. The death penalty means a legal punishment where a person is executed for a crime. These lights create a powerful symbol. A place once known for violent games now glows as a reminder of mercy. History can hold deep contrasts. The same stones that heard cheers for battle now shine for compassion. When evening comes, the crowds slowly leave. The streets grow quieter again. The Colosseum stands under the Roman sky just as it has for centuries. Wind moves softly through the arches. Shadows stretch across the ground. Sometimes a bird flies through the open center. If you stand there long enough, you may feel something unusual. Time feels wider. The past does not seem completely gone. It feels close, almost within reach. And perhaps that is why the Colosseum still matters. It reminds us that human work can travel far beyond one lifetime. It reminds us that ideas change. Violence can become memory. Power can become history. And stone, shaped by careful hands, can continue to speak. One day you might see the Colosseum in person. You might walk through one of its ancient entrances. You might touch the rough surface of the wall. And in that quiet moment, the long story of this building may return to your mind. The emperors who ordered its construction, the workers who lifted the stones, the fighters who stepped onto the arena floor, the families who later built homes inside its broken arches, the travelers who now stand and look upward. All of them shared this place for a brief time. The Colosseum simply remained, calm, patient, watching centuries pass like slow clouds. And perhaps the next time you see an old building in your own city, you may pause for a moment. You may look at its walls a little longer. Because somewhere inside those stones, there may also be a long human story waiting quietly.